6:30 p.m. and welcome back all councillors for our first meeting of 2025. In the event of an emergency, the building may be evacuated. You'll be required to evacuate the building by the rear entrance and gather in the breezeway between the library and the art gallery buildings. This is the council's designated emergency muster point. Under no circumstances is anyone permitted to re-enter the building until all clear has been given and the area deemed safe by authorised personnel. In the event of an evacuation, a member of council staff will assist persons present with a disability to vacate the building. Item 1.1, apologies of absence. Mr. Chief Executive Officer, are there any? Do we have?
We have no apologies, but Councillor Kinghorn is joining us from overseas and we're having a little bit of technical trouble. Thank you.
Okay, we'll welcome her when she comes online. Being none, there is no mover. Item 1.2, live streaming and recording. The council meeting is being live streamed and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to be live streamed and recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak in this council meeting that you ensure that you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Orange City Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of the council meeting. A recording of the council meeting will be made for administrative purposes. I would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of the land. I would like to pay my respects to elders both past, present of the Wiradjuri Nation and extend all respect to all other Aboriginal people and all other people here with us today. Item 1.4, councillors, are there any conflicts of interest that anyone would like to declare or matter for consideration at this meeting here tonight? Councillor Peterson.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I have four. Planning 2.2, I attend the Orange Evangelical Church each week. I'm a volunteer there for many things, so I should not be involved in this discussion to avoid any perception of conflict of interest, and I thought I would just update the chamber that when this and other issues are discussed at, say, church AGMs, I get excluded from the Zoom meeting, so don't have any either. On Recreation 2.1, I'm a paid member of the Orange and District Historical Society and give them some support, but I'm confident that I can objectively their proposal, so I'll remain in the room and vote. And for Recreation 2.4, I've got family and friends very involved in athletics, and I'm also a former executive member of the Mountain Bike Club, but I see myself as more of an enthusiastic supporter of both without any direct or financial conflict, so I will stay in the room and vote on those two.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Yes, Councillor Greenouch.
So I would just like to declare on item 2.4 for the sports grants that Craig Harvey, who ran on my council ticket at the recent election, is a former member of Orange Basketball. So I just want to declare that, but I will stay in the room and I will vote on the matter.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to declare a significant non-pecuniary interest in item 6.1 enclosed, as I'm a member of the board of New South Wales ALGWA, so I will leave the chamber and not vote on that.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Powell. No, none. Thank you. I would like to declare too item 2.4, and that's the Recreational and Cultural Policy Committee. I see that Waratahs have an application there. I'm the president of the Orange District Football Association, which Waratahs are a member, so I won't be voting on that item, and I'll be leaving the room. Also in the Finance Committee, Small Donations 2.1. Item number 6, the applicant there is an acquaintance of mine who has requested a donation, and I'll be leaving the room for that one also. Are there any other councillors have any conflicts they would like to disclose? Okay, let's go to the open forum. The council meeting will now be adjourned for the conduct of the open forum. Tonight we have one registered speaker. That is Mr. Steve Adams, and he's going to speak on DC item 2.2, General Report, Development Application DA 405/217 in bracket 6, number 2, Cottonwood Way, Orange, and he speaks on behalf of the Orange Evangelical, how do you say it? Evangelicals. Thank you. My apologies. Church. Mr. Adams, you have the floor. Thank you, sir.
Mayor Melito, councillors and staff. My name's Steve Adams. I'm here on behalf of Orange Evangelical Church in regard to the request for minor alterations to the conditions of use of our church building at Cottonwood Way. It's classified as a place of public worship, but like all churches in Orange, this involves not just meeting on Sundays. I've been involved in OEC for 30 years since it started. As a Christian church, our people are followers of Jesus Christ, and we seek to love our Lord God and to love our neighbours, even our physical neighbours and those who we live, work and play with in this community of Orange. We also encourage all our members to do that 7 days a week, not just on Sundays. As a consequence, we run programs throughout the week. We have hundreds of volunteers who do that outside their normal work and family commitments. For over 25 years, we hired school halls and various facilities around town to do that. But as we grew, the logistics of it became too complex, and limited our ability to serve one another and to serve the community. We needed our own building, so although we don't belong to any denomination, we don't have any financial backing of a denomination, we raised the money from our own people, and it took us some time to do that before we could build this facility at Cottonwood Way. It's obvious to anyone who lives in Orange when they drive past that the church facilities are used throughout the week for church and community activities, and last year this council awarded us 2 awards, one for our very popular Ragamuffins playgroup and another one for our Easter Holidays Kids program where 150 children attended. But that's not all. Our church does many other things. We have 60 primary age kids turn up for after school kids club on Thursdays. 100 or so of Orange's youth come on Friday nights. We have men's and women's groups meeting throughout the week, and a small number of people even get together before they go to work some mornings. Recent decades, Orange has grown, and it's changed a lot with families leaving Sydney and moving away from family and support structures that they had there, seeking a more affordable and better lifestyle. And there are also many people in Orange with broken lives, needing support and the love of a community such as OEC, which welcomes people from all walks of life and life situations. Like other churches, we want to use our facilities to engage with and serve this community, but that means that our volunteers need to do that after work, and it means meetings at night and programs at night. The restrictions that we initially were placed upon us were nothing like the people expected when we set out to build this building. But we've worked with council and staff, and we've compromised, and we said we'd give it a go. We have done that for a few years, but there are some things that are just a little bit too restrictive. For example, Mondays to Thursdays, except 6 times a year, only 40 people are allowed on site after 8 p.m. And we had to use one of those 6 to hold a state election candidates forum, and as you know, Mr. Miletto, there were lots of people came to hear what you and the other speakers had to say. We could hardly turn people away at the door because they, when we reached 40, that would have been very bad. So we're asking for a few of those restrictions to be relaxed so we can operate properly. The acoustic report, which we were required to present when we first put our modification application in, the first version, it shows that what we were seeking was legally acceptable. However, the council staff have impressed on us that it wouldn't pass the Orange Community Pub test. As far as possible, we want to be good neighbours. We want to get along with people. So we have once again agreed to limit these condition changes to a bare minimum. Our youth group leaders will be disappointed that they're not able to use that area north of our house until 9 p.m. on Friday nights, but if that's a sacrifice we have to make to keep the goodwill of the neighbourhood, we will. In closing, I want to thank you for your time, and please help us to engage better and serve your community more by allowing these modifications. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. And, councillors, just bring your attention that we have Councillor Kinghorn.
Hello.
Yes. Thank you, Councillor Kinghorn. I understand that you have a declaration of interest. Is that correct?
I do. A conflict in the Cottonwood Way PDC item 2.2, as it's just behind where I live. So I don't think it's appropriate for me to vote on that one.
Thank you very much. We'll go to item number 2, mirror minutes. Item 2.1, there are no mirror minutes this evening. We'll go to number 3, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. Item 3.1, minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Orange City Council held on 17 December 2024. Can I have somebody move and second those minutes? Councillor Mallard, and moved by Councillor Mallard, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion on this item?
Microphone,
Back into the
Councillor.
microphone, please, Councillor.
It's regarding the Rainbow Festival, the minutes. Just a couple of things that I just want to raise. And the first one is that when we had the discussion on the 18th of July, on 18th of June, about the budget, we quarantined $50,000. At a meeting on the 17th of December, we brought that back down to $30,000. Now, the CEO advised us at that meeting that $30,000 or the $50,000, whatever it was going to be used for council. Now, which I accept totally. But the other issue that I do have is that on the same night in June, we asked the director for the cost of what the staff costs were, and there was staff costs were $27,000, $97. Now, which technically leaves about $3,000. I just want a bit of an explanation of where that is actually at, and because there's been a lot of work go into the actual process of what's going up where we're at to there. But I also want to know when we're going to have another report which says about the status of where we're at with the funding. So there was some to be confirmed about ticket sales and all these type of things there. And when is the committee going to meet again? And we haven't been really told who is on that committee. And I also want to know what steps are taken to make sure there's only appropriate paraphernalia about and activities.
Okay, so I might call the director up, and you might want to go through those again individually, Councillor. So,
Through you, Mr Mayor. The first question, I believe, and please correct me if I've got them in the wrong order, but the first question was around the cost of the labour, which was reported back in June, which is the cost of the labour for the event that was held last year. The event that was held last year was significantly larger than Council's contribution this year. This year is a much more pared back at the direction of Council, and therefore the labour costs will be significantly less.
Councillor Duffy, can you just pull your microphone down when you speak, please? Thank you.
If you could help me with the second question. I caught the second question.
Second question was as regards to where's the money going to, what's the situation with our costs as regards to the $30,000? The CEO at the AID meeting in June said that during the budget that money was going to be for council use for the project.
For our contribution
Yes.
to the project,
Yes.
correct. That will go into the funds that we'll put on the project.
The council costs of doing the project, but my project, there are other costs that we've already done. I believe that our staff have built the web page. Is that correct? I'm not 100% sure. That's why I'm asking. I'm happy to let you take it on notice and we get given a report.
Mr. Chair, it might be easier as we go through the preparation for Rainbow Festival to provide updates on how we're spending the money, which is part of your third question.
I'm happy to take it and let you take it on notice as long as we get a detailed report of the questions that I asked, which you can go onto the live stream and copy.
For that, the third question was about the current committee members.
Yep.
And I do believe that we answered that question last time, and I ran through all of the committee members and the organisations that were represented there.
I just correct me if I'm wrong, but I got a copy of it. I've only seen the names of Headspace and a couple of others.
Well, if you bear with me one moment, I'll just scroll.
That's all right.
Scroll
I'm
back.
happy. I'm
I've
happy
got
for you to take it on notice.
The notes right here,
Yeah,
Councillor
right.
Duffy. So just one moment, I'll scroll to that particular. The advisory committee is representatives of council, obviously, CSU, Headspace, Sincerely Queer.
Yeah, they're organisations. They don't sleep anywhere, do they? Individuals sleep places.
So they select representatives and send them to that committee.
My question is, who are those representatives? That's my question.
I'll take the names on notice,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
Another question, or is that?
The other ones was that what steps are we taking? Are we taking to make sure that the appropriate paraphernalia or no inappropriate paraphernalia and displays are on?
I'll take that on notice.
Yeah, as I said, take the whole lot on notice, and but at least when the report comes back, we can have a report that will go into that detail.
Thank you. Is that?
Yep.
Thanks, Councillor. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I just got another one on the Southern Feeder Road. I'll call it the Southern Feeder Road or Jack Brabham Way, whatever you want to call. My question was that, and I want to give a bit
in the minutes from the previous meeting.
There's in works. There's a works committee meeting. Was
Well,
there?
we're not in the works
And the
committee at
current
moment.
works. Is it part of the current works?
No, we're not doing current works at the moment. We're doing previous minutes of the meeting. But you can raise it later if you'd like to.
I think there was a works meeting. Was there a works meeting on that night on the 17th?
Meeting, Councillor.
Yeah. Okay. I'm happy. Yep.
Okay.
I'll raise it in the other one.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Okay. Is there any further discussion? There being none, a show of hands for. Unanimous. The council will now adjourn for the conduct of policy committees. I now hand over to Councillor McDonald for Planning and Development Policy Committee.
Been a long time.
I'm up to it yet, Steve. Off too early.
Long time since you.
We're getting Councillor Peterson back.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was just double checking. Awesome.
I'm out.
You're in. Yep.
Okay, I'd like to open the Planning and Development Policy Committee meeting for the 4th of February with the time being 6:47. I note we have a declaration of interest from Councillor Kinghorn for item 2.2 and also Councillor Peterson for item 2.2. Were there any other declarations that have arisen since? Yep, okay. Alrighty.
Read your right.
We're not confused. All right. Item 2.1. Are the items approved under delegated authority of council. Recommendation is on page 5. Thank you, Councillor Whitten, and seconded by Councillor Greenhalgh. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, raise a hand. Unanimous. Righty, so Councillor Kinghorn. Okay, item 2.2.
Point of clarification, Madam Chair. I find a clarification to the director, and I didn't pick up what the speaker was requesting. He said 40 is not enough. I mean, what is the number that they were after?
We have a motion.
Okay, so item 2.2 is development application DA 405/20176 for 2 Cottonwood Way. Okay. Yep, okay.
Got a question first.
All right.
The question is, before we deal with this matter, is can we approve the modification application for a trial of 6 months in order to determine the extent of the real impacts of the neighbours?
Through you, Madam Chair, Land Environment Court doesn't allow councils to issue trials. It requires, when we're determining applications, to give surety to the applicants and also neighbours. So the answer to that would be no, because it's not a reasonable time. They can't make decisions based on a trial. So the answer to that is purely no, unfortunately.
That being the case, I'd like to move a deferral, if that's okay.
Well, we haven't had any.
Yes, and that would be that deferral would be based on the fact that I would request that staff provide the additional technical material of the DA that was relied upon during the assessment of the application. This would allow council a better understanding of the matters such as the acoustics, what would be the 12 special events per year that are listed in the condition number 51. Also, what activities generally would be conducted out of normal daylight hours. That's why I'd be requesting a deferral.
We have a seconder for that. Councillor Ruddy? Discussion?
An amendment.
Sorry, Councillor Power first, and then I'll come to you, Councillor.
I've read the report probably 3 times. Everything's there. The time frames, the director's reports, aspects of the first application, 18. Everything's there. You can't get more clear than what the information that has been by the director. I really find it quite confusing that we want to defer something that they've spent pages and pages that I've read 3 times, unpacking the time frames, where they are at this point in time, taking the guest speakers' notes in of around. So really, I just really can't see how we can get more information than what we've already been provided. It just really went over thoroughly, really looking at every aspect. And to be truthful, I was a minister, planted 9 churches around Australia. This here is really clear and cut in relation to the in relation to the applicants, providing opportunity for them to extend for us councillors to activate on. No disrespect, Mr. Mayor, but this is what I'm saying. Yep.
Our Councillor Whitten.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move an amendment for the instrument of approval based on the report.
I have a seconder for the amendment. Councillor. Any discussion? So the amendment is for approve basically the original motion as printed.
I'd like to speak to it.
Yes, please, discussion of the amendment, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to it, and you, Councillor Power, but my understanding of the information which is provided in there, and as the speaker suggested, the acoustics of another report hasn't been provided. Satisfies council's interest, council's satisfaction to it. So that's why I've asked for an acoustics report. These special events I didn't see in there. Maybe I overlooked it, but I haven't seen what these special events would be, only that there would be special events. So maybe you can point me in the direction where that information is, because I couldn't see it. What activities generally would be conducted out of normal daylight hours? Maybe they're listed there and I didn't see those, but you tell me they're there. Could you point me in the direction of where they are?
I might then ask if Director Hodges.
Just bear with me for a second, Madam Chair. I shall find the clauses. Prefer to find it, Madam Chair, so I'll just take a second rather than answer off the cuff, which I have a bit of an answer to, but I just want to see it written.
Councillor Whitten, while Director Hodges gets his...
I'm just speaking for the motion, or for the amendment, sorry, Madam Chair. Based on the report and the instrument of determination, we're making a decision based on the DA application's ability to meet the merits of our planning committee or our planning department. Probably not particularly relevant to the DA of what the events will be, other than there's conditions within the development applications which cover those things. So by and large, everything's been met, and I granted that the Speaker applicants are not happy with some of the conditions, but that's what's in front of us at the moment.
Director Hodges.
Councillor, so I'll draw Councillor's attention to page 22, halfway down under the section of outside use of amplifiers. Just under the two conditions of 57, it says the applicant provides the following reasoning to the requested changes. So this one actually gives clarity on some of the events that the church was talking about. So the church has a large outdoor area ideal for use for community functions such as Christmas carol services or school holiday kids club activities. Such activities would be infrequent but would benefit the wider community of Orange. For these outdoor activities to function successfully, microphone or speaker would be essential. You can read that in conjunction with that condition 51, which does restrict that to 12 times a year, 51 small c number 2 Roman numerals. Also back on the page 23, I think it was, just more I wanted to mention, is where the acoustics report is, the second last paragraph on page 23 of the report. It says, this is just where it was. It doesn't provide council with the technical detail report, which is what the Mayor has asked for, is to set out in more detail. And so I'll answer Councillor Duffy's question separately, but it does just give the comment about the acoustic report showed the compliance, but there was additional restrictions put on the conditions that were recommended by staff. That probably leads to Councillor Duffy's question, which I didn't actually answer previously, which was asking about the 40 patrons or attendees. That was just in relation to a time period. So if you had a look at that condition 51, it does say period of time. Where was it? From 10:30 onwards, 10:30 to 11, there was a restriction on the number of people on the site of down to 40, which was the bumping out people. So that was, I would expect, the restriction that you were referring to, Councillor Duffy. Other activities, just trying to think of the Mayor's questions there.
I can refresh your memory if you like, and the question was what activities generally would be conducted out of normal daylight hours, and the report doesn't specify that. So I would like a better understanding about what they may be, because the report is quite specific. What we're asking here is for councillors to agree to extend the hours from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m, from 6 a.m. till midnight, 7 days a week, not Monday to Friday. So I think...
It's 11, sorry.
Sorry, my apologies.
11 p.m.
Yes, 11. So I think that due to the nature of the changes, that it would be pertinent to gain this further information to give us a better understanding. And I'm only asking for it to be deferred for 2 weeks for additional information to be provided so we could satisfy everyone.
If I make, through Madam Chair, I certainly could provide council even offline through a memo the copy of the acoustic report and the other supporting documents that form part of the application that you could see. It's not dissimilar to what happened We had a childcare centre up near Bletchington that we did a similar thing on a traffic parking issue where we got some technical detail if you need that offline.
Thank you, Director Hodges. Is there any more discussion on the amendment? Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, we're talking about the amendment of Councillor Witten's, aren't we?
We are, yes.
I'm going to speak against it, not because I don't disagree with it or that much disagree with it, but I tend to lean towards the original motion, simply because we have the deferral. It gives the developer or the time to talk to councillors and point out the exact details of what he wants as far as numbers are concerned. And if we're only talking a fortnight, there's a reason why I'm speaking against the amendment, unless the mover of the amendment can come up with some better figures.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Any other discussion on the amendment? I just want to ask one question before I put it to a vote. How many days has this been on the books for already, Director Hodges?
Around 400. So the application was lodged in October 2023.
Okay.
Yes, the applicant has had been quite patient and has had extensive conversations with council's planning staff to negotiate out the details of the application. It is an old one.
Okay. Thank you. I'll just speak to the amendment. I'm happy to support the amendment. So it's saying we're best compromises when no one's happy. No one's completely happy. So the applicant hasn't got the late hours that they wanted, but they're also still able to do the activities up till 11 p.m. with these restrictions. So given that it's been on the books, and I know it's only another 2 weeks, but 400 plus days is a long time, and I thank the applicant for their patience in the process. So I'll put the amendment, which is the motion as written, that we approve this. All those in favour of the amendment?
2, 3, 4, 5.
Those against?
3, 5. We have 2 out of the chamber. So you have the casting on the amendment.
Oh God. Okay. Pressure. I'll stick with my original vote. So the amendment becomes the motion. All those in favour of approval?
Councillors, you're now voting for the same thing again?
Voting for the same thing again because it's become the motion.
On the original motion.
I'm against it.
So the original.
This is for approval?
This is for approving the development.
Come back. Okay.
No, hands, please.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
in
4,
favour.
5, 6, 7.
Those against the motion?
3 make 10. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is passed. Thank you, councillors. That concludes the Planning and Development Committee meeting.
I've got a couple of questions.
Oh, okay. Councillor Duffy?
My questions are, and I think most of it are quite aware that we are talking about some solar farms in the area.
Can we just wait 1 second?
We might just get the other councillors back in the room.
Councillor Kinghorn, you're welcome back.
Can I just clarify? I think there's a bit of confusion. So their DA's just gone through.
Their DA has been approved.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, there's a lot of procedural stuff. Yes. Sorry. Yes, it was approved.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, approved.
Councillor Duffy.
Thank you.
My matters that I'm going to raise is not so much that we want a decision tonight as when a report comes to council to address the issues of the solar farms that are going on here. We are fully aware of what happened one out the road, which is on the highway, and bearing in mind that the state government have had in since 2021 the intent to change the solar or renewable energy rules to not allow them within 10 metres of an urban, 10 kilometres within an urban area. And in view of the fact that these organisations, such as I won't mention the organisation, they get the approval and they on-sell them. But one of the issues that I do find was that the last one that went through out at Marlong Road was granted a grant from the federal government of $3.5 million. And I do believe that there was an organisation at the time that raised around about $1 million to go towards it. Now, what I want to know is where that money went. What's the story with it? So I'm not happy with the process that seems to be going on here. And I'm just wondering who are the shareholders in these type of things here and those type of things there. I think we actually need to know, because there were some when people donate money to the organisation or buy shares or whatever the case may be, I think we actually need to know those type of things there. And at the moment you can see that there's letters going around talking about sweeteners, put in for a grant for this or these type of grants. They're sweeteners to put in front of the panel, the regional panel. So those type of things. And also I'm quite aware that the organisation, the one at the Mitchell Highway, want to have access another 100 metres down further simply because of the transport rules as regards to the terrible accident that happened out there a couple of years ago. And they're talking about trying to compensate the actual owner with those type of things and allow access somewhere else. But I just want to know, when the report comes to us, it can have full details of all those things that would come.
Sorry, Councillor, can I just clarify what you're wanting the report on? Is it Molong Road Solar Farm?
No,
or
it's on the 2 solar farms that are going to come in front of us.
Okay,
but
so
using the Molong Road one, which was a vote of 10-2 of the council against, as an example of what's actually happening with these solar energy organisations.
All right, I believe the CEO has comments.
Just generally on the solar farm DAs, yes, Councillor, we'll do what we best to include as much of what you said as we can. The 2 DAs are lodged. We're going to organise a site visit for councillors for both DAs in the next 2 weeks. Both those DAs will be like the other one. They will go to the planning panel. At the moment, the current planning instruments say they are permissible, so we have to play that ball as it comes to us. But yeah, we'll take on board your comments.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Chair. Given Councillor Duffy has raised the Mitchell Highway solar farm proposal, I feel I should declare an interest. It will be less than significant interest, given that I don't, as I understand it, we're not providing anything, or you're just asking for information about this, but I am a member and shareholder along with my partner in which is the community that shares to own a part of that.
And through you, Chair, I will not be providing any information on that company. I can't. It's a private company.
Understand. Yeah. Thank you. No other discussion? Matters arising? All right. I'm closing the PDC committee for the time being 19:07, 7 minutes past 7. And who's on next? Councillor Peterson for the Finance Committee.
Infrastructure.
Should be that way, but they've changed it in the agenda. One it says finance.
Chair, how are you? Yeah.
So
2 items.
Well, thank you, Councillor McDonald. I'd like to open the Finance Policy Committee meeting on the 4th of February 2025, with the time being 19:09. We had declarations of interest before. Did any councillor have an additional declaration they need to declare? If not, I'll move to item 2.1, small donations, request for donations. There is a recommendation, page 6, and part 1 recommends the items be heard and voted on in seriatim. I can have a mover from Councillor McDonald and seconded by Councillor Mallard. I'll put the motion. All in favour? No against. Thank you for that. Yes.
2.1.
About
No, we're on the Finance Committee.
Right, okay.
2.1. Councillor Mileto is declared on item 6.
Your papers are out of order, mate. The agenda's back to front. Put finance next.
All right. Well, part one, we have 6 items then, so I'll deal with the items in part 2 separately. The first item, number 1, is to donate $2,500 to Orange Little Athletics for track line marking. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
Happy to move it.
Thanks, Councillor Leto, and seconded by Councillor Mallard. Is there any discussion on this item? No? Well, given that, I will put the motion. All for? Any against? The motion is passed. Thank you. Number 2 is to donate $2,500 to the Lions Club of Orange for the purchase of micro-debrider handpieces. I have a mover by Councillor Ruddy and a seconder by Councillor Duffy. Any discussion on this item?
I want to really quickly say that I think that the work that Lions Club are doing in this space is absolutely incredible. The amount of money that they've raised so far to get to this point to only need $2,500 is incredible. And yeah, I just wanted to give them a little shout out.
Thank you, and I certainly echo those comments. Any other discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All for? Any against? It's unanimous. Thank you. The third item is to donate $1,000 to the Classic and Enthusiast Motorcycle Club Central West to contribute to their holding the annual bike rally. I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Power, seconded by Councillor Ruddy. Any discussion on this item? Thank you then. I will put the motion. All for? Any against? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 4 is to donate $2,500 to Blossoms Rescue to contribute to desexing and rehoming unwanted, injured and stray cats and kittens in the Orange area.
Happy to move it.
Councillor Mallard has moved. Thank you very much. And a seconder, I saw Councillor Steadman. Any discussion on this item? Yeah, Councillor Mallard would like to.
I'll just comment. I know we did provide funding to this organisation last year as well. We've talked in this chamber in this term already about the animal rehoming crisis and the amount of stress and the amount of effort that is going into attempting to deal with it, both through our own council staff, our pound, our rangers and our organisation, but also through the volunteers at organisations like Blossoms Rescue as well. So I'm very happy to support it.
Well, if there is no other discussion, I will put the motion. All for? Any against? Thank you for that. Item 5 is to donate $2,500 to Orange University The Third Age to contribute to holding the New South Wales Network Annual Conference in 2025. I have a mover. Thanks, Councillor Greenhow. Seconded with Councillor McDonald. Any discussion on this item? I'll only say that it was for my grandparents such a great thing they were a part of, so I certainly support it. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any against? Leave by Councillor Miletto is stepping up. So item 6 of 2.1 is to donate $222 to the Wiradjuri Nation Sovereignty Conference to cover the venue hire fees for events on the 25th and 26th of January 2025. I have a mover, Power, seconded by Councillor Ruddy. Any discussion on this item? Donald?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the Director, I'm guessing. I note that in the papers it's the application doesn't comply with the policy. And I know it's only $222, but just bear with me. And there's also in our papers, there's no actual application form. There's just an email. So I'm just wondering what was the process and why wasn't it followed, I guess?
Thank you. Through you, Chair. The application was received via email in the week leading up to the event, in the days prior to Saturday the 25th. It was just an email. There was not a form. We did request a form to be completed, but it was not supplied.
Okay. Look, I know it's only $222, but I'm going to actually speak against this because we've only got limited funds. We always talk about this. Doesn't comply with the policy. The application form wasn't. I mean, it's not a hard application form. It wasn't provided despite being requested. So I'm going to vote against that.
Donald, any other discussion on this item?
May I?
Oh, sorry. Yes, Councillor Kinghorn.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I was a little concerned about the tone in the email as well. And I understand that they were frustrated, and I feel like I'm probably the one who criticises bureaucracy more than anybody else. But even if there were sort of two similar organisations that wanted to use the facility at the same time, you still have to go through the process, and they didn't do that. And this bit, I expect Orange Council to reimburse. That just really got my back up. I didn't like it at all, so I'm also speaking against it.
Councillor Mallard.
Thanks. I'm happy to support waiving this one. I thank the director for the explanation. I do think, particularly when it comes to dealing with venue booking fees, having to go through this entire application process and have it come to council, I do wonder if there's a way we could do this efficiently and perhaps even delegate it so it doesn't need to come to council, frankly. I feel like expecting people to go and fill out an application form to basically ask us to reimburse the charge that we put on venues, I just feel like I'm aware of it from some other instances taking place on council facilities and having to steer people, put in an application and then wait for a council meeting. Community group or a not-for-profit group or whatever it is, waiver of several $100s. But I'm happy to approve this one. I can understand people might object to the tone of the language of someone who was communicating about this event. But yeah, I think it's an opportunity as well for us to pay the rent a bit in an event discussing First Nation sovereignty. Thanks.
Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, and Councillor McDonald makes a very good point, and in defence of the staff, why is it in our papers if it doesn't follow process, right? It shouldn't. I would have thought that we would give you the authority to say it's not followed the process, and I do understand why it is here, because it's now a decision for us to make rather than the staff to make. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how or what it is ratepayer money, and we are responsible for it. So it has to follow a process, it has to be able to be audited, and it has to sit in the books. Be able to say, let's just have someone else do it because it's just a reimbursement of council land, it belongs to Orange and the ratepayers. We are just the custodians who oversee it and make the decisions, and they hope that we make the decisions in a respectful way. So irrespective of the subject matter we're talking about now, if there's a process and the process is not met, then we shouldn't be dealing with it. That's what I would just like to say.
Councillor Greenhow.
Yeah, I'm going to speak against the motion as well. I totally agree. If it doesn't meet the criteria, why are we even considering it? In terms of booking venues and so forth, we have to follow the process. In the couple of group organisations that I run, the Compassionate Friends, we need to go through the right protocol. All sports ground bookings has changed to an online booking system this year. It is an absolute nightmare. You have to book Eastfield, Westfield, toilets, whatever. But council staff were very good at talking you through that. So, I can't recommend that the staff are always there to help you. So, I don't know whether it was a case of, did they need help filling out the form or whatever? But I totally agree. If it doesn't meet the criteria, we shouldn't be considering it.
Councillor Ruddy.
I don't want to go and repeat what everybody's saying. Obviously, process is important. I do agree with Councillor Mallard. It is an opportunity for us to do the right thing and pay the rent a little bit. I guess for me, process hasn't been followed, and that's pretty simple. I'm wondering, as Councillor Greenhouse just said, if there's another reason for that, rather than, the tone's not great, and it seems like there's something going on there, which is, but I wonder if there is a reason why they didn't follow that process or couldn't follow that process that potentially could lead us to be a little bit more lenient. I'm speaking against it, but I'm curious to know if there is a little bit more to that, or if they just couldn't be bothered following the process, which may not be the case. So, yeah.
Through you, Chair, I might address this in closed if you're right. This one's rather sensitive.
Okay.
There is something I'd like to say, but I don't really want to say it in open, if that's okay.
Take some guidance then. I just adjourn this to closed.
Oh no, I'm not asking for that. I have a comment to make that I will make in closed, not in open.
Any other
Take it on face value. Take it on face value.
Just my is, and I'm either way. But my comment was received on the 23rd of January. I thought the Mayor and CEO could have dealt with that.
Any further discussion? Very well. Well, I will put the motion. All for?
Number 6.
Sorry, my apologies. This is number 6 to donate $122 of the Wiradjuri Nation Sovereignty Conference cover the venue hire fees.
Can I just clarify? So the CEO's just said there is more to it, so potentially
Be to defer to closed
leaning
if
in.
that's the will.
What is it?
Yeah, I'm happy to defer the matter until we have more information.
Getting an amendment.
Can we do that?
Second that. All right. So the amendment is any for the amendment to defer it until closed?
Yes.
Going to take any against the amendment to defer it to closed? Well, then the amendment becomes the motion. All for that to move it to closed? Any against? Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for item 2.1. Item 2.2 is fees and charges amendment. The Orange Aquatic Centre and Orange Youth Hub post-exhibition. There is a recommendation on page 25. I have a move from Councillor Mallard, second by Councillor Power. I'm sorry, I've been jumped the gun a bit. Councillor Leto has just come back. We have a mover and a seconder for item 2.2. Is there any discussion on this item? Given that, I will put the motion. All for? Any against? And I declare the motion passed. Thank you, councillors. This concludes the Finance Policy Committee meeting with the time being...
Before you close, Mr Chairman, I got a matter I want to bring up in closed as regards to the Aquatic Centre.
For telling us that. I will... there's nothing else. We will conclude it with the time being 19:23. I will call on Councillor Whitten to conduct the Infrastructure Policy Committee meeting. Move this out of the way.
Councillor Duffy, what was your subject in closed? Aquatic Centre? Aquatic Centre in closed? Is that your topic? Okay.
Yeah.
Move around now.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. I'd like to open the Infrastructure Policy Committee meeting for 2025. It's now 19:25 is the time. Item 1.1, there's no declarations of interest of any sort. Item 2.1 is current works. The motion, the recommendation is on page 5. The mover. Now it's moved by Councillor Duffy, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Duffy.
I have a discussion on this item. I just want to let the CEO know to thank their staff member Theakstone and Boyd for turning up today. I had discussions with the rifle range group, or I don't know what their name is, and they rang me after their meeting and said, look, could we convey their thanks and their living with it. My interpretation of what's going on at the moment with the Brabham Way is that it's not opening until the 17th. Is that correct?
Approximately, Chair. We're working through it with politicians, shall I say.
I'm happy. I'm happy with that. I do have some concerns about it as regards to Woodward Street and those type of things there, and the corner of Anson Street, because I think it'll finish up a bit like Hill Street and on the NDR. We will need to put in a roundabout, but that's something we can do with.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one comment and one question. Comment is about the Ploughman's Lane shared path, which is fantastic. They finished up over the holidays, so it's great. An awesome addition. The question I have is regarding Kite Street from Lord's Place to Peasley Street. Where is that in the program for? Because that surface is atrocious, particularly heading west.
We'll take that one on notice. Get an answer back to you. That was Kite between Lords and Peasley.
Yes.
The road surface.
The road surface.
The road
yes.
surface. Okay.
Yes.
Councillor Ruddy.
Hi. I want to ask a question. Hopefully I'm in the right spot to do that. I went to one of the community information sessions for the Brabham Way, really to kind of let people know what the changes to traffic would be. And I did note at one of the ones that I went to, and I hope I've got this place right, at the top of Woodward Street, before the rail crossing, the road narrows in, there's no guttering, the footpaths are a bit messy. A few of the residents there were asking about footpaths, and they were quite passionate and upset about that. And I was, with that being so close to opening, wondering if there's been any progress on that.
There has been a lot of progress. We've been working with 3 of those residents at solutions for their individual driveways, and I can pretty much accurately say they're pretty happy. 6 residents, I'm told. So
is a footpath going in there, or?
Probably won't talk about detail, but say they're satisfied.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Ruddy.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to ask a question to the Director. The 3 intersections I have concerns with in the open of Brabham Way are 1, Anson Street and Brabham Way, 2, Woodward and Gardner Road, and 3, Woodward and Racecourse Road. It is being implied that roundabouts will be installed in these intersections. Is this in the budget, and what is the time frame for the work?
Again, I'll take that on notice for the Director. Generally speaking, what we're going to do is open this road. We've got traffic modelling that's gone into this road design, which tells us certain things. We need to now ground truth that, prove it, and then look at which roundabout would take priority and then go for budget. There's no specific budget for roundabouts, any of those roundabouts, but I will acknowledge we need to look at least one of those roundabouts, certainly for grant applications.
Already on which one would be?
I can't answer that tonight. I think the general consensus is we need to let this road open and see how it goes in terms of ground truthing our modelling.
Yeah. Councillor Peterson.
Thank you. I had a question on page 14 about the East Orange harvesting lands. I must say I'm a bit disappointed with the further delay. I had 3 questions. Given we have approval, are we able to get started until the final decision is made? I also wanted to know if this appeal is the final hurdle and what conciliation, and I'm happy to talk about it in closed, could offer to speed things up. And finally, is the appeal publicly available? And if it is, should we consider publicising this so to better inform the committee about the proposal and the responders and the concerns they have?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have an approval, but it has been appealed. The Land and Environment Court tends to frown upon applicants that jump the fence too early. Conciliation or mediation is always the first step in any court proceeding, so we are heading towards a mediation as a first step in the next couple of months. As to publicising it, again, there's a balance here. And I think the first major projects committee, which you chair, is a place to talk about that, just as we get further down the case. Probably enclosed as well.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. The director knew what day, what council meeting to not come. He's still on holidays, Mr. Greenham, is he?
He's back next week.
Back next week. Councillor Duffy, you have another question? Tammy, sorry. Sorry,
Thank you.
Councillor Greenhouse.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just want to thank the council staff and the contractors who took us for the tour on the Planetarium Conservatorium. They were very thorough, and they gave us access to absolutely everything. I think it was absolutely amazing, and I just want to thank them for the work that they're doing. Also, wanted to make a comment on the sports precinct. It's great that we've got the extra funds. So, we just need to get on with the job now and start building it. So, it's great news. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Greenhouse. Councillor Kinghorn, have you got any questions? Climate that you're in? All right, no further questions. Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thank you. I refer back to the 18th of June where I asked a question in the chamber with regards to future development of the Southern Feeder Road or Raven Way. And being an election year this year, when we ever go to a conference, you often find that the state premier will say, or the Prime Minister will say, or their representatives will say, I want shovel-ready projects. Now, I've asked for quite a number of times, I want detailed plans and designs for the rest of the Southern Feeder, or especially stage 4B, which is across the Pinnacle Road, and the next step, which is from the Escort Way to Cargo Road. So where are we at? This is the third time. And the last time we took it on notice as well, and that was in July.
Chair, I can't answer for the director tonight, but I will take it on notice.
I'd like to be able to advise the candidates that what we want.
I'm not sure that project has been developed yet. I'm sure Mr. Greenham will know where it's up to.
And Councillor Duffy, you've been a councillor for a long time, so you should know that if you actually want something to be delivered, you should move a motion, right?
The motion was passed by council 2 years ago.
You can't get reports just by asking them. You've got to have a motion to get a report, right? Councillor Powell.
Thank you. Listen to all the commentaries. I actually found these 21 pages quite interesting. It's doing very well. This report that has come out, and I do take the aspects of the certain things in some of this infrastructure work, but this is just amazing. 21 pages of information that where Orange is sitting, where we're going to the future, Southern Feeder, Raven Way, just the throughput for the airport is up. It's just, me, if I was to look at a health document, this was a good healthy document when we got the components of there. And I do take Councillor Greenhouse comment on our tour of the Planetarium Conservatorium. It's just amazing to see these workers out there working on our 12th behalf. I think it's fantastic. And to see this report, 21 pages of really good information that I thought, right. Congratulations to the staff, the contractors, the above to put all this together. And over the next coming 12 months, we'll see a lot of this stuff unfold. I had the privilege of being a part of those opening. Thank you.
Councillor Mallard. Thank you, Councillor Powell.
Thanks, Chair. Just wanted to ask through you some questions, and I expect they'll be taken on notice, relating to the energy use report on the final page, page 21. The report, the first bit that confused me was that it had space for 5 years, but I understand now we're still in Q1, so that's why there are no bars for 2025. That was my own bit of work my brain needed to do to kick into gear. But the questions I wanted to ask, down in the lower table, we're showing still more than 9,000 tonnes of CO2. But my understanding, we're purchasing 100% renewable electricity and 100% green power small sites. So the certificates we're getting from that should mean, as on a household bill where we purchase 100% green power, we're effectively we shouldn't be measuring emissions or we shouldn't be responsible for emissions. So I'm not sure. This has been the standard report for quite a while. I'm not sure. I know the sustainability team have been doing a lot of work on measuring our emissions and measuring our energy use. I'm not sure if this has been run by them. Most accurate and clear report, or whether something needs to be modernised.
So we'll defer that question to your committee, okay?
And the other thing, I believe some time ago I did also ask as well, I am assuming this report is about electricity use, although it says energy use. And I asked if there was any reporting available about our gas consumption as well, which facilities we use gas in and how much we're using. Again, I'm not sure if that's something, if the sustainability team have been working on our emissions profile. There may be other data sources there, but yeah, if we can look at getting the best information we can get coming to council about our energy use, our emissions profile, that would be appreciated.
So on a serious note, it would be something we would defer to your committee to make sure that these reports had come to this committee. But I'll let the CEO answer your question.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, no, you're dead right. This is the old E21 printouts. What I might do is get the sustainability team to input into the works report all the good stuff they've got. Modernise it, so to speak.
All righty. So thank you, councillors. So I'd just like to thank everyone. I'm just going to speak first, if I may. Councillor Powell, you're dead right. Orange is booming from an infrastructure point of view, right? A lot of these footpath programs that you're seeing in the city that are now coming to reality have been the work of probably 4 past councils, right? Because one of the next to roads and potholes, footpaths are the number one priority for most people in the community, especially as you get a little bit older or you have young children and you're pushing prams. So footpaths are probably the most priority next to roads. So if you look around the city, close to the older part of the city in the CBD, where they've been putting where council staff have been doing all of those wonderful implementations to concrete footpaths. So they look fantastic, Mr. CEO. So you can pass on to the depot lads and girls that they're doing a wonderful job. And certainly, it's exciting. We're about to have the addition to what we know as the Southern Distributor, which will be soon renamed to Brabham Way, going to be open. And for anybody who transients Anson Street going to James Sheehan's school in the morning and the afternoon, it is Pitt Street, literally. It is bumper to bumper and blocked all the way down to the Gardner Road roundabout and then back up Gardner Road in either direction. So it's going to give the school or those transient to that school the ability to go or take another way to get to the school, which will free up some of Anson Street. So, sure, with any new infrastructure comes new problems, and I'm sure we as a council will overcome them, and things like roundabouts are very important, and traffic flow and safety is paramount. I've got a question for the CEO, if I may. How are we going with the Adventure Playground? How's that one travelling, Mr. CEO?
Chair, I might ask our Acting Director tonight, Mr. Simon Davies, to answer that question. Simon heads our Project Management Office.
Welcome, Simon.
Good evening. Adventure Playground's going pretty well. They're doing the final stages at present, installing the last of the soft fall furniture, and turf is going down next week. Practical completion 21st of.
So you would like some of the councillors to nominate to test dummy some of the activities up there, yeah?
Splash Park? I'll give the Splash Park a workout. It's pretty hot enough.
Thank you.
Make sure you got first aid kit. Yeah. All right, thanks very much, Simon. And Councillor Miletto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've just got 2 matters arising, and they're probably directed at either the Director or the CEO. You may need to take them on notice, Mr. CEO. The first one is with regards to the Gildry up at Cook Park. I've had a couple of complaints regarding accessibility issues up there and the need for a ramp. I understand that the building is heritage listed. However, The issue at the moment with this really hot weather is that some of our elderly people who actually work there or frequent the building are burning their hands trying to get up the steps because the railing is steel. They're wondering whether there's an opportunity to have some sort of wheelchair access to get in there, or for their walking frames or whatever. That was the first one. If you could...
I'll take that on notice. Thank you.
Thank you. The second one is with regards to Summer Street and the condition of the pavers up the main street. And I've been approached by a couple of business owners regarding the condition of the pavers and the grime and whatever else is on those pavers. And I'm just wondering, although we often use the street sweeper there, is there an opportunity to use some other machine which maybe use some sort of a product to clean and rejuvenate those pavers? And if so, how can we make that happen?
Through Mr. Chair, yeah, I've started a conversation with the maintenance team and we'll come back to you on that.
Thank you.
All righty. Councillors, we have a motion in item 2.1. All those in favour of the motion, raise your hand. Against, the motion is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. I'll close the meeting it's around, almost 7:45.
7:41.
7:41. And is there a clock here, is there? And I'll invite Councillor Greenhalgh to do the Recreation and Cultural Policy Committee.
I would now like to open the Recreation and Culture Policy Committee meeting for the 4th of Feb 2025, with the time being 7:43. Item 1.1, declarations of interest. I think we have for 2.4 and myself for 2.4, but I will be staying in the room. Councillor Peterson for 2.1 and 2.4.
Staying in the room.
But staying in the room. Perfect. Okay, so we'll now move on to item 2.1, response to questions taken on the digitisation of the Central Western Daily negative collection. There's a recommendation on page 5.
Move the motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this item? Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just, I guess, probably a question through to the Director.
Right.
Okay, maybe take it on notice. I don't know. I found the report is great, but what I'm trying to understand is the recommendation is that we fund the digitisation, so 25,000 for the next 4 years, so 100 grand all up. But is that where the Historical Society is buying, sourcing their own equipment, like it's mentioned in here, and doing it themselves, or is it when they're outsourcing it like they have been? I guess that's my...
Through you, Chair, what I suggest we do tonight without Mr Maunder here is that Council's meeting Friday week to go through the budget, out of the budget process. I suggest you maybe change the recommendation to being the report, and we'll talk through this detail when Mr Maunder's there next Friday.
Okay, I'll move an amendment.
That's a suggestion.
Yeah. Because I'd like to understand a bit more about
budget commitment.
Yes, it is. It's 100. So we've already done 100 grand. We're now looking at another 100 grand. So I'd like to move an amendment that we note the report, and bring it back after we've had a budget discussion.
Comes back to the next meeting.
Yes.
By which time you will have discussed this.
Thank you. If I can have a seconder.
We have a seconder, Councillor. Thank you.
That might be the motion.
No, it's an amendment.
Thank you, sorry.
Any discussion on the amendment? Thank you, Councillor Whitten.
Look, Madam Chair, I'll speak against the amendment. First and foremost, if we note it, it kills it in the water. And this motion cannot come back to this chamber for 3 months, right? Because this is a motion, once a motion has been dealt with, then it cannot be raised again for 3 months, right? Not in the same form. So if we note it, rather than deferring it, then it can't come back, right, for 3 months. So council staff have given us a report here and a recommendation. I would hope that consideration for the budgeting aspects would have been taken into consideration before this came to council. So I'm happy to support this $25,000 for over 4 years, because these aspects of what the Historical Society are doing are Orange's history. Sure, it's $100,000, but we're being we're giving monies to other organisations for other events, right? This is something substantial which we own, which is part of Orange, which is going to become part of our future, not just our history. And the people who are working in this area put a lot of time and effort in at their own time, like lots of organisations do. So the reason I'm speaking against the amendment, because the amendment for noting would kill it, and it would kill it for at least 3 months. And so it's already here in front of us. We've got to deal with it. It is a recommendation. We have a motion. We have a report. It's all here in front of us. So the aspects of whether the budget considerations should have been undertaken probably should have happened before it comes into this chamber. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'd like to make another amendment, please.
You mean foreshadow?
A foreshadowed amendment that the matter be deferred for 2 weeks.
Okay, can I just address that one with the question I wanted to ask? Is that possible, Madam Chair?
Thank you.
Okay, through you to our governance guru, is what Councillor Whitten said correct in terms that it couldn't come back for 3 months?
Through you, Chair, I'll answer that one. What Councillor Whitten said is true. It can't come back in the same form within 3 months. What I was proposing is it would be noted tonight, and then it would come back in another form.
Can I just make it easier then? Nice and simple. If Councillor Peterson is happy with this as my seconder, I will amend it, instead of noting the report, that we defer it until meeting in 2 weeks' time. Are you happy with that, Councillor?
You happy with that, Mayor?
Are you happy with that, Councillor Witt?
So is there any further discussion? So the amendment...
The amendment is deferred.
The amendment now reads that we will defer the original motion.
Can you change the amendment? Discussion about it?
If the mover and the seconder are okay with it.
That's why they have the shadow. Yeah. Can't do it, but anyway.
Councillor Whitten.
I suppose my question, Madam Chair, is through you to why do we have the motion? Why is it? What's it doing here? Why is it in here? Why do we have it if it wasn't? If it's preferred that we defer it until we have a budget discussion?
That's a very good question, and I wish Director Maunder was here to explain that.
Yeah. So either way, in 2 weeks' time, when it comes back, I'm still going to support it and I'm still going to move it. So I can save this council probably time and money, and we can deal with it tonight, because in 2 weeks' time, when it comes back, I would hope that we would support giving the funds to this wonderful organisation who are the caretakers of the history of this city.
Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to speak for the motion. Number one, because it's a motion that's been in vogue for nearly a decade now, 10 years. And we have some wonderful volunteers that operate out of the building in March Street. I know they've been discussing with staff. I know John Kitch goes down there. I know Mr Stevenson goes down there. I know Mr Bob Curran, who's the chairman of the Historical Society. I know Ross Moroney, who goes down there as well. And you often see stories that turn up in the media as regards to what happened. And you often see on social media pictures which come and which are our history. And when the Central Western Daily gave us the opportunity to purchase these things, they gave it to us. And as long as we digitalise them, I think it was a great opportunity. And as Councillor Whitten says, all we're going to do is defer this and save staff time. Let's get on ahead and let's move it and get this thing done.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. And I'd just like to comment on that as well. I am a little bit confused as well with the as to whether they're purchasing the equipment or whether they're outsourcing it, but totally agree with you, Councillor Duffy. Regardless of how we're capturing this is our history, and I think it's really important that we capture that, and we only get one chance to do that, so I'm going to speak against the amendment. Councillor Peterson?
Thank you. Thanks for following up on my question of notice, and I was certainly supporting the intent of the motion. So I was quite pleased with the volunteers from the Historical Society made the commitment to upskill locally. But I'm going to support the amendment because I've got two questions that I wanted asking, and probably end up being on notice because they're technical questions. The first one being the last 4 years, or nearly 5,000 images a year uploaded at the cost of $25,000 a year. We've now halved the costs by scanning locally with volunteers, which saves $4 an image, that I'm very grateful for. But despite this, we still expect $5,000 images a year at roughly $25,000 a year, which was the same as the last 4 years. So where's the new costs that have arisen besides the $7,000 of equipment that I think council should be purchasing for these guys? And the second thing is, am I correct if the Historical Society scan less than 5,000 images a year, given now that we're relying on volunteers, will the total of $25,000 not be spent and we retain the unspent funds, or is that money, given as a single amount and the amount of images we get back on volunteer availability? And I don't know if we can answer those, so we've got 2 weeks to get them. Answers.
I can't answer that.
So we'll take those on notice. Councillor Peterson? Councillor Mallard?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, look, I'm supporting the amendment, and I think it's important to recognise I don't think anyone is debating the value of the contribution that the Orange District Historical Society makes in all of the work they do, and the importance of this collection and using it and preserving it for our history. It's just, as has been discussed, there are a number of areas where people have questions, want clarification, are seeking more information. We know that the Director is unfortunately unable to attend tonight, so I think it's worth taking the time. This is about funding over the next 4 years. We're here in February. We've got the time that we can take a little bit more time with this, make the decision and approve the funding. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, so I'll put the amendment, which is for the deferral. Those for?
Seven on screen.
7. Those against? So the amendment becomes the motion. All those for?
All but 2, that's 10.
Those against? Motion has been carried. So we'll now move on to item 2.2, the grounds maintenance for Waratah Sports Club for 2023-24. There's a recommendation on page 11. Councillor Miletto, did you want to step out of the room for this one?
Is it for the grounds or is it for?
It's for the grounds.
Grounds maintenance Waratahs.
Yeah.
We'll just wait for Councillor Miletto to leave the meeting. So we have a recommendation on page 11. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Is there any discussion on the item?
Can I? Oh.
Councillor Ruddy?
I just have a really quick question. So what was resolved previously is for 23-24 and 24-25. Is that it? It's just those 2 financial years?
On this topic?
Yes.
Through you, Mr. CEO.
Oh, sorry, for the funding money that we're giving
funding. Them? Yeah, if you go to page 11, you can see what was previously resolved in the box.
Yeah. There's under number 2, 23-24, 24-25. So
So this report is reporting back to council on how their money was spent effectively.
Okay. Oh, got you. Okay, sorry.
And there's a letter there to Mr. Morn from Waratahs. That's one of the requirements of the money is tell us how you spend it. Spend it wisely. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A question through you to the Director that can be taken on notice, obviously. I'm just wondering, given that over the next couple of years we're going to have the sporting precinct up and running, do we foresee council's financial responsibility, I suppose, for want of a better word, for sites such as Waratahs reducing at all, or is that going to sort of stay as it is?
Look, I mean...
I'm happy to take it on notice.
I think generally, Chair, we will see the face of sport in Orange change when the precinct opens. There'll be impacts on Wade Park, there'll be impacts on Stedman, everywhere. So I think it's a work in progress. The touch footy at Waratahs, for example.
Yeah.
Little athletics. Surely with with the new stadium, that will necessarily change it. I can't answer in any detail tonight.
Okay, yeah, no, that's that. I didn't expect details. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councillor Stedman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to point out that when the sporting precinct comes online, we will notice gaps, and hopefully Waratahs will be the picker-upper of those.
Rubber, I like that word.
Thank you very much.
Picker-upper?
As you say, the sporting things are going to change dramatically. That's a good thing. We want, hopefully Waratahs will still get looked after.
Through you, Chair, please don't take my comments as thinking that things are going to be taken from Waratahs.
No.
I expect the pie will grow bigger. Orange.
It was more the question around how things are going to shift.
Councillor Duffy.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The situation we have with Waratahs up there is actually an actual blessing for council. It really is a blessing. It's only $100 and something thousand we gave them. It covers touch football. It covers athletics. It covers schools athletics. It also covers AFL as well. We wouldn't, council itself wouldn't be able to provide that cheap and the maintenance of that area up there at all. I know as a bus driver, we take plenty of students up there for athletics. We take plenty up there for various different sports altogether. So it's money well spent. And it's mostly all volunteers for them to do it.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Judge.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to speak for it as well. It's I know the sporting precinct will take a lot of sport out to the news, but you're still going to have your AFL. They're not moving. Orange City Rugby Club are out there. They won't be moving. You may move your little athletics when the little athletics track's built, but with that, and we still hold events out there like the New Year's Eve and stuff like that. So I think it's an important thing that Waratahs have to keep supporting it and keep. It's a big part of Orange.
Thank you, Councillor Judge. I'd just like to agree. Obviously, in the wet winters as well, some of our grounds, we like to stay off them. For training during the week to keep them in, great condition for the weekend. So that's probably where Waratahs will come in on those sorts of things as well. And they're always very accommodating up there. I think that the work that they do for our community is absolutely amazing. And as Councillor Duffy said, the majority of the work is done by volunteers. So, they contribute immensely to our community. Any further discussion? So we'll put the motion. All those for? Those against? Unanimous. So we'll now move on to item 2.3, the update on expressions of interest for the establishment of the indoor recreation facility. We'll just call Councillor Miletto back in for this one, if we could, please. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, we forgot you were out of the room. So we're just moving on to item 2.3, which is the update on expression of interest, establishment of indoor recreation facility. There's a recommendation on page 15. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor McDonald and Councillor Power. Any discussion on this item? Okay. Yeah, this is something we've been working towards, and it's been a bit of a tricky one, should I say, because it just doesn't stack up at the moment financially. But we can't put this in the too hard basket because it is something that comes up in our CSP. The indoor tennis centre have been very accommodating. I do agree that it is a bit of a makeshift thing that we could certainly look at doing better. I don't know what the solution is, but I guess these are the things where we've got to try and work towards a solution together and have things ground ready so that if any opportunity does come up for funding, that we're able to jump on that straight away. I don't know what that looks like. It could be, I don't know, an expansion of PCYC. There's lots of things we could talk about to make this happen, but that's just my opinion. Councillor Mallard?
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks to the staff for the report and for all of the work that has gone in through pretty much our entire last term of council into working with this. And I agree, the indoor tennis centre gave an option to get something up and running quickly, and it's been able to keep working while these options have been explored. Yeah, I absolutely think we have to, I'm fine with supporting the motion, and we're effectively just noting this report right now, but I think it is time to get creative. We have a clear community need here. That's come through year upon year. It's now come through now that the Community Strategic Plan feedback report is out. We see it again, the desire for a permanent solution. It's clear that there's not an off-the-shelf commercial provider going to come in and solve the problem for us. We're going to have to get creative and figure out what we can do to actually try to organise something that we're able to provide to the community that meets expectations, sustainable in some form, because with the conditions we have in Orange, with the growing city that we have, we know that having recreational facilities that are indoors, particularly is going to be critical. And I think, yeah, let's explore that as soon as our upcoming budget discussions and other things, what we need to do to start exploring what those alternative options are to go more creative than the EOI processes that have basically been looking for a commercial option. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Councillor Power?
Yeah, something that's been very passionate and myself and in relation to ran on this actually part of my but when you look at the costing of the, we haven't even added insurance in there. When you look at 100K just for rental staff, and I was approached to look at maybe providing the catering in there, but I looked at that. Immediately, I had to balk as a business person because was I going to get the bang for the buck to pay for all the outdone, let alone the cost of food, establishment. So the report is really, really showcasing the challenges. But as what you've already said, it's something we can't put in a too hard basket. And we need to somehow think our way through this stuff, maybe have a think tank and really look at maybe some charitable organisations, church groups, something that we can unpack. Can't just keep it in a hard too hard basket, but how we can actually do it. So, challenge. Bob's worth in there too in relation to how we can maybe cut costs and then at the same time provide and as what a vital service to our community. When you look across the city of Orange now, as what we already mentioned, we've got this infrastructure everywhere, but when it comes to family, other than Splash Park, which I'll be loved to be there, but when it comes to this sort of stuff, I think we need to really unpack it. So I'm looking forward to this challenge of this.
Councillor Peterson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And I think unpacking it's spitballing, and I'm quite grateful for the emails initiated by Councillor Ruddy and maybe a briefing sometime. One thought I had, we have a federal election coming up. I would imagine that we're having a list of priorities, things that we're going to put to our candidates. I'd like to prepare that pretty soon so they're good to go. There'll be something that ends up on that list, and I hope we get our wish list ready for May.
Thank you, Councillor Ruddy.
I'll just add to it really quickly. Like obviously this is something that everybody's really passionate about and has been for a while. I think I'm going to be like a dog with a bone, so to speak, for this one. So I'm excited that everybody else is really excited and we can have some really robust conversations and stop talking about it and make it happen. Like we need to find a way to make it happen. It's just not an option anymore. Like it has to happen and we have to find a way. So I'm very excited to work together, and especially with the upcoming budget conversations and preparations, and figure out how we're going to do it. Cool.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. Okay, we'll now move on to item 2.4, which is the 2024-25 Sports Facility Partnership Program Application Assessment. There's a recommendation on page 17. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Duffy and Councillor Ruddy. Any discussion on this matter? Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Chair. Just wanted to note, and I'm happy to support all of these options, but was particularly interested to see a bit of use of the Naylor Pavilion for basketball. I think that's really, we've got a large facility there that, sits underutilised at times. So I think it's really to that space. Thanks.
Can I ask a question through the CEO?
Definitely not, Councillor Ruddy.
To the director.
Of course you
no
can.
idea what I'm doing, so I'm just going to... Naylor Pavilion, great, amazing option. I think I heard somewhere potentially when we were talking about the Nashville event, and it could be one of the other facilities there. Is there some work with the roof that's going to happen, or is that... That's okay, it's a different space. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, the budget, the current budget includes structural works for the
pavilion. Yep. But Naylor's good. Naylor's in good shape. I've used it a couple of times. It seems good.
What, brand new.
Brand new. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
That's what it was built by Councillor Duffy. That's how old it is. Right?
Yeah. I'd just like to comment on that as well. I think it's a wonderful use of the Naylor Pavilion. The fact that we're just going to use up a corner of the space to store things, I think, still allows any other functions that go ahead there plenty of space. Councillor Duffy, did you have something? No. Yeah, thank you. I've been to quite a lot of functions there, and that's starting to get quite a lot of use. If it's, the Ladies' Day car show, it's the boxing, it really is a great facility, and I think it's really important that we start using it. Basketball have started to outgrow their facility, and everyone's always looking for courts. Again, I think, I know we've got so much infrastructure going on, but I think we shouldn't stop applying for grants for the expansion of PCYC and so forth. I think it's really time that we started to future-proof our city and not just look at the short term for 2 years, but we need to be looking further for 5 to 10 years for our growing city, and we need to start aiming high and making sure that we're getting our piece of the pie. I think that's, that's crucial, and it's exciting that everyone's excited about doing those things like the playground. So, Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimous.
Got a matter arising, Madam Chair, as regards to, I think from memory serves me right, letter off to President Biden for his election for the. We should do the same thing for Councillor Trump. For President Trump, send him a congratulations letter and urge him to come to Australia.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, me too.
I move the resolution. I've got a seconder. We have a seconder. Yeah.
Madam Chair, this is...
Councillor Duffy, we would need to have a motion for that. It's not a matter arising.
It's a matter arising. I've moved a motion tonight. That we write to Mr.
We can't do like the old days, mate.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy.
I'll put it in a matter of motion before.
That would be great if you could do that for our next meeting. With no items for the Services or Regional and Economic Development Policy Committee, I'd now like to close the meeting at 8:12 and hand over to the Mayor to resume the Council meeting.
Your Deputy Mayor Greenhalgh. There are no general reports this evening, so we'll go to closed meeting, closed agenda.
Wait, one.
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
That's our last one.
Yes, item number 4, notice of motion rescission. 4.1, there's it's on page 24, councillors. And it's regarding public Wi-Fi. Councillor Peterson, would you like to move your motion?
I would, and the motion being that Council investigates costs and options to provide public Wi-Fi in Cook Park.
Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Mallard. Any discussion on this item? Yes.
Well, thank you, and thank you to Councillor Mallard. So in August 2022, put forward a motion for public Wi-Fi in our CBD, and after a request from the local Youth Committee member, and that was unanimously supported, our members of the public were in contact with me over the summer requesting Wi-Fi access in recreational parks. I just want to acknowledge that when I initially approached council staff, they told me Councillor Steadman had been in contact as well about better maps displaying where Wi-Fi access available, which I thought was great as well. Council staff also reported that Wi-Fi is currently available in some areas of Botanic Gardens and Robertson Park, just with Cook Park being an obviously missing location. If there were opportunity for Wi-Fi to be made available, maybe when council is next maintaining premises in the park, maybe when they're putting in a wheelchair ramp perhaps, I'd like to have information available regarding the options and costs, and maybe we could have the option of considering Wi-Fi at the same time.
Yes, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to support the investigation. It's it's probably a bit of feedback for staff. It would have been good to have the previous report that was brought for the same topic that was 2.5 years ago in the papers. That just extra, rather than us having to go through. It's just feedback. Going back through and seeing what the information was, that's just feedback on that. But I'm happy to support this to investigate the options. I do recollect that last time it was going to sort of be prohibitively expensive, but more than happy to look at it. And perhaps, given that Council adopted more than a decade ago the Cook Park Heritage Master Plan, which includes adaptations of the Gildry building, which would make it more accessible and user-friendly. Maybe that could be worked in with some Wi-Fi. So, more than happy to support it.
Yes, Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I congratulate the councillor for putting it up, and certainly around the world it's quite popular, but now it's becoming less popular because there's a lot of education around not using public Wi-Fi. Public Wi-Fi is used by different organisations and unsavoury people in the community to what we call we call it man in the middle hackers can actually tap into Wi-Fi and tap in devices. So if you guys were in Cook Park using a public Wi-Fi, I can take over your devices, right? So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to stop that. So most public Wi-Fis don't go into that because it's public Wi-Fi. It's left up to the user to protect themselves and their own devices. And there's a lot of education in schools now to educate young students not to use public Wi-Fi. And especially around, it bypasses all of the rules that their parents may have on their devices, all sorts of stuff, right? So they're the things that we need to consider when we're doing the investigation. Great if the world was a nice place, and it is a great place, but unfortunately there are some people use technology for the wrong reasons. And so they're the things that we need to consider when we're giving out public Wi-Fi. And at the same time, when we have public Wi-Fi in place, we need to make sure we educate the community about the perils of using a public Wi-Fi connection and how they should be careful.
I've just got a question to the CEO, which you might want to take it on notice. Just regards to what Councillor Whitner said, I'm just wondering if we would offer public Wi-Fi in a public area and somebody was, for argument's sake, doing a transaction on their bank account and it was hacked, where would Council be legally?
Chair, I will take it on notice. I'm still struggling to understand how television works.
They're not little tiny people.
Provide a service knowingly that it can be...
I see your point.
Thank you. Councillor Greenhalgh.
Just a question through you, Mr Mayor, probably towards the CEO. In the areas that we provide public Wi-Fi already, do we monitor traffic? Like what's the uptake? I mean, I'm just out of curiosity. I mean, majority of kids have a phone or you know, a device. Obviously, there's those that don't, that we already provide, like the library and places like that. So do we know how much it actually gets used?
I believe we do through you, Chair, but it's very limited. Like hits, we know hits, but we don't know what they're doing. Yeah, we can get an indication of traffic, but not content.
Okay.
And if I may, Mr Mayor, it's about educating the community at the same time, right? I'm not saying don't do it, but there needs to be a two-stream process, right? If you're giving public Wi-Fi, you generally use it at your own risk, right? It's about educating the people, the users as well, because there's public Wi-Fi everywhere.
Thank you.
A good education program.
Can I just ask one more question?
Yes.
I think from memory, when we do, and I don't do it very often, but when you do log on to a public Wi-Fi or in a hotel or somewhere where you're staying, it generally does tell you those risks before you tick the box to put the password in from memory. I think, is that correct, Councillor Whitten?
Yeah, that's just them covering their own.
Yeah.
They're making you aware that you use it at your own risk and you need to understand what you're getting.
Yeah, and I guess that would be the same for us, wouldn't it, with public Wi-Fi?
I would hope so. Any council users, our IT department makes sure can't actually get on some of that Wi-Fi. They just don't let us. So we've got some protections for our staff.
Thank you.
Councillor Steadman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I support the idea of Wi-Fi up there. We're all grown-ups. We know the risks these days, and if we highlight that, then that should be more than enough. We build roads, and we know that people have crashes. Use all this stuff at our not forcing anyone to do it. Find ways to support people looking into more things when they're in our town.
Yes, Councillor Peterson.
Of closed, just...
Any other discussion? No, go ahead.
I need to say thanks for the interest and just wanted to share some information that I got from council staff when I was talking about this. Yes, the costs, I think standalone was about $30,000. It goes just by itself, hence why I was going on about probably trying to deal with some other work. Which is...
Thank you. I now put the motion, and that is that council investigate costs and options to provide public Wi-Fi in Cook Park. Show of hands for. Unanimous. As I said previously, there are item number 5, general reports. There are no general reports this evening, so we'll move to number 6, closed meeting, closed agenda. The Chief Executive Officer will now advise council if there are any submissions that have been received relating to item advertised for consideration by a closed meeting of Orange City Council.
Sorry, Chair, we have received no such submissions.
Thank you. In accordance with Local Government Act 1993 and Local Government General Regulation 2021, in the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, the following business is of kind as referred to in Section 10A(2) of the Act and should be dealt with in confidential sessions of council meeting closed to the press and public. Item 6.1, New South Wales Alga Conference 2025 nominations for councillor attendance.
Mr Mayor, I don't think I need leave, but I've...
Not in there yet. It's reading out.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask you a question on that topic.
Okay. All right. I'm way ahead.
Item 6.5, minutes of the Audit Risk Committee Improvement Committee meeting 28 August 2024. Item 6.6, minutes of the Extraordinary Audit Meeting Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on 4 December 2024. And item 6.7, minutes of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on 18 December 2024 are classified confidential under the provisions of Section 10A(2). F, matters affecting the security of council, councillors, staff, council property. Item 6.2, transfer of ownership, lot 11 DP 1206162 and item 6.3, lease hanger J, Orange Airport, are classified confidential under provisions of Section 10A(2)(c). Information that would, if disclosed, confer commercial advantage on a person of whom the council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. Item 6.4, electricity procurement for small market sites, is classified confidential under provisions of Section 10A(2)(d). I, commercial information of the confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the persons whom supplied it. Item 6.8, submission redaction report, 4th of February 2025, is classified confidential under the provisions of Section 10A(2)(e). Information that would, if disclosed, prejudice the maintenance of law. Can I now have somebody move?
Can I add one?
Yes.
Can I add item FPC 2.26, small donations, that I was going to address council in closed on for the reason it's classified confidential because it's under Section 10A(2)(f). Matters affecting the security of councillors, council staff or council.
Thank you very much. And we'll include that. Can I now have someone move and second that we...
Happy to move.
Thank you. Going to close council. Moved by Councillor Greenhalgh, seconded by Councillor Duffy. And then we just...